Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Everything in bud, spike and bloom on the 8th but filmed on the 7th, and I'll post it later this evening, so it'll be Friday evening as I'm out tomorrow. So I'm starting off in the kitchen, on the kitchen windowsill. The 4 mini Phalaenopsis that were in the previous video, the unboxing video, I'm not going to dwell on those. The things in bloom out here don't actually film very well because of the strong light coming in directly into the camera, but nonetheless we had the nice white one with the delicate spots and the little splash of colour on the lip, pleasant blooms. The one that I was well impressed with was the yellow one. That's a smashing little mini Phal. And then here we've got this is the one I got at the 50th anniversary show, and one spike's been cut off, the other spike was retained and has extended up here and branched. So and these buds are starting to swell now, so that'll be back in bloom soon. So I would say it would be in bloom for the next one of these in a month's time. And then we've got the little white one with the terminal spike, which was a bit annoying, but as these 4 mini Phals are going to be in a series, and we're going to do quite a few videos on these with a bit of an emphasis on beginners, so monitoring what happens to a mini Phalaenopsis with a terminal spike is probably going to be quite interesting. Several people have suggested that if I contacted them they would probably exchange it, and yes, I'm sure they would. I could physically take it there and exchange it and possibly even choose one to replace it, but it's worth more to me to keep. As part of the series it will be of interest, so I'm keeping it. I won't bother them. And then we've got the nice stripy pink coloured one, patterned pink. And then on the end, this is one of Hannah's. This is Phalaenopsis Happy Hour, and this is the one where we cut the spike and it has branched. Quite a long way off blooming yet though. So right, off into the grow room. Okay, and for once I'm going to go round the other way. We always start over that side and work our way round to here. Well, I'm going to go the other way this time. So we start off in this corner where these are basically, I say they're rescues, they're not all rescues, this one isn't, but the others probably would be classed as rescues. These are my Masdevallias, all of them. I've lost one, the Inca Prince Division. When the flower finished, the leaves dropped off, and there was no sign of new growth, so I've dumped that one. However, this one is not growing well. It's been in bloom a long time with this single bloom. The leaves are not too happy and there's no new growth, but it has got, oh yes, there is a new growth, I can see it now. Anyway, the bloom is on its way out. As it fades and goes over, it develops these little black spots on the edge, and all the blooms I've had on this one do it, so it seems to be some sort of trait. If I get this at the right angle, you might just see the purple sheen. It's basically not a purple colour as such, it's tiny purple hairs, but you have to catch the light just right. I may have caught it, it's difficult to tell. These are all my Odontoglossum types. There's no spikes or anything on there. There's quite a few of those that are going to be classed as rescues too. And then up here, mostly Coelogenes on this shelf, but not all. And we only have one bloom up here. Out of the Coelogenes, this is the only one that's doing anything remotely like blooming. This, I'll be doing pop-ups for names, and anything that's a spike or a bud, I'll put, if I've got a picture, I will put a picture up. So actually, no, I won't. Otherwise you know what's coming, don't you? It takes the surprise away. No, buds and spikes can stay as buds and spikes until they become blooms. Anyway, this bloom is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's the most gorgeous colour, and although it's brown with some strong light behind it, you can almost see through the lip, and it takes on a reddish tinge, rusty brown colour. Gorgeous bloom. Potentially this spike will be sequential. This is the other bud waiting behind. It may not develop. It's not a strong division. It's only got 2 bulbs in this new growth. So right, there's coming along here. We've got up the back there. We've got Shelob Marie, and this has four spikes on. The one nearest to us is the one that's easiest to see. Hang on, I've just spotted white dots. Is that scale? No, it wasn't. Thought it looked like scale, but it wasn't. Anyway, these are like spider-like orchids. They're not true brassica types. Their petals and sepals are a bit shorter and a bit wider than a normal brassica, but spidery types. And as I say, we've got 4 spikes on that one. And then coming down here, we have one new bloom. And many of you will not have seen this before. This is Dendrobium banana chocolate, and it's a Phalaenopsis type. As a plant, it's not too good. The 2 latest growths are here. I quite like the plants. I don't, once it becomes leafless, it just looks awful. But the actual leaved canes, each leaf has a lovely red tinge to the edge. Very attractive. And these are the blooms. For the size of the plant, they're quite small. I don't find them stunning or that special, I must admit. But nonetheless, it's my only Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium, and that is it. That's the one. Right, then coming round here, these are all Derek's plants down here, apart from Hibiki. Then this is the Shari baby. This has a spike on a growth. So we will have Shari baby blooms in the not too distant future. Well, actually they'll take a while, I suppose. Dead leaf. Pick that up in a minute. Right, and then coming round here, if I touch it, it'll fall off. But this is Black Comet. I daren't knock that bloom. It really is the last one, and I'm determined to film it while it's still on the plant. But all the other blooms have dropped. This is the last one. Nice, attractive blooms. The new growth is just starting. It's a single new growth, so we will have to wait till, sort of April, May time next year for that to have fully developed, formed its bulb and come into bloom. So we'll be waiting a long time to see this one again. And then the one that goes with it that's incredibly similar is Midnight Star. And they are very similar. They have component parts in their makeup, that tie them together basically. They're like sister plants. And this one again is dropping its blooms. This is almost finished now. Lovely patterning. This one here, the patterning inside the hooded lip is not quite so prominent. And if you look on this one, I would say that the hybridization has improved with this. It's a more attractive bloom, I think. Plant's not happy. These are old leaves, but when you see leaves fading from the tip rather than the whole leaf, it's going to be a nutrient issue, I suspect. Now, I haven't repotted this, so I don't know what's in there. It looks like it's got reasonable roots, but something's going wrong with it. So I think, the blooms are nearly over now. In the very near future, that will be up for a repot. So we can get in there, see what's in the pot. Got a new growth coming there. the only one, I think. Oh no, there's another one round there. So there's 2 new growths coming, an ideal time to get it out the pot because there'll be some new roots forming in the not too distant future. And then we've got this one here with the strange name. The blooms on this are quite long lasting, and there's more spikes lurking down here. It's only a small one, but it's nonetheless, look at the bulb. The bulb is here, and then it's started growing again out the top of the bulb, and it's produced a spike. It's a weird one, this. But the blooms, I will try and get in close to one that's in good light. But you have to effectively get quite close to these to really appreciate them. Try and get the camera to do its thing and go. I can't see. The bright light means I can't see my screen properly, but hopefully the camera is managing to focus on that because they're quite small blooms. As I back away, if it's not in focus, it will go into focus at some point. So hopefully we've managed to get that. It would be good, wouldn't it? Right, so then coming over here we've got nothing. You will observe, I say we've got nothing, we have. You will observe some of the Phalaenopsis from in the kitchen have come out here. Now 2 of these are not what I call good Phalaenopsis. There's nothing really wrong with them. They just don't look good. They've dropped older leaves a while ago now, but they are growing. You know, this one here does have a new leaf coming. But this one over here has just started to spike. These are just hybrids, no IDs. Yeah, so we do have a spike on this one. I think what I might do with the Phalaenopsis that have got no ID at all is give them an ID. You know, like Phalaenopsis A or Phalaenopsis 1 or something like that. So that when we revisit, we can recall what it was last time, if you see what I mean. That might be an idea. Right, then down here, this is all Miltonias virtually on both of these shelves and the 2 zygos. One zygo is putting up a lovely new growth and is doing roots at the base. That is probably the Louisendorf. But there won't be any buds or spikes or anything on any of these, that's for sure. Up here we've got no buds or spikes. The Cattleya with the big long name with lots of red in it. What colour were the blooms? Yeah, they were red. That spike's gone over now, so we've got one new growth starting, but this Cattleya has just never produced good roots. And it's not a happy plant as a consequence. I'm wondering whether it's one that perhaps would grow better in a slightly more shade, because it's on a bright shelf at the moment. Top shelf in this end of the grow room is the brightest light, because I haven't put the shade netting up this year. I'm trying it without, so you can see, hang on, I'll have to back up a bit. You can see the difference where the sun stops. Yeah, the sun comes onto the roof there. You can see the shadow best over that side. And it's not all day. It's some hours. It's not all day by any means. It doesn't even get onto the roof until like around midday, something like that, 11:30. And it's gone by late afternoon, so it's not like the grow room's in the sun all day. But nonetheless, this shelf here does get a fair old bit of that bright light. The epidendrum is still blooming. Again, this will be difficult to focus on a bloom, but I will try to get in close. They are a lovely colour, there's certainly no doubt about that. Beautiful colour. Really bright, you know, almost luminous orange. Then Restrepias, I don't think there's any in bloom down here. There's usually one. I mean, when I watered them, there was definitely a bloom, but that was a while ago. No, I can't see any down there. It's about time we had a few more blooms on those. I've still got 2 Restrepias in amongst there that have never bloomed. They're the 2 that I rescued for Hannah, which is this one and this one. And they've both grown on. They're plenty big enough to bloom now, but they never have. We've got no Paphiopedilum buds or spikes coming at the moment. And then up here we've got Dendrobium hercoglossum has a few. There's only one bloom that hasn't gone over that's open, which is this one. The 2 underneath is a spike of 3 buds, and this is the only one that hasn't actually gone over at the moment. There are a few more buds to come, but this is a very unhappy plant at the moment. At some point very soon I'm going to have to get these kikis off. I mean, this one has a growing tip and has roots. That's a viable kiki. There aren't many. There are quite a few kikis on here. This one has a growing tip and some viable roots, so that's 2. Can I see any more anywhere? But if we don't... Oh, there's another one here. That's 3. That one's no good. It's lost its tip. Well, there's at least 3 there with roots and open leaves. So there's a kiki here that's got a growing tip, but it's got no roots, so you can't take that off yet. But I think those kikis need to get potted up, because I've got a feeling I'm going to lose the main plant. The main plant still has canes from the base that are effectively growing very slowly, but they are growing. They do have a growing tip. But there's no new growths. There's no sign of new growths on that plant. So, as I said, I may lose the main plant. And then over here, we have what looks like 2 plants, and it's not. It's 1. Over here, we have 3 big blooms, and they are big as well. In hand over here. These are large blooms. No ID for this one. I really wish I could get a name for this. This would have been the only thing that was viable to go to the Gardeners World Live show next week, but because we've only got a very small stand, our stand is part of a multi-user stand, if you see what I mean. It's the British Orchid Council, and it's divided into 6 parts, and we've got one of the parts. So it's a small display area. You can't put a big clumsy plant like that in a display like that. It would just take up far too much space for a single plant. Now, if I trained this cane upright instead of letting it go over at a ridiculous angle, so if that cane was up there and the blooms were just above that one, that would be quite a stunner, because I mean, just look at this lot over here. I've never seen such a crowded spike on a black hair type ever. This is a really good display. So it's a bit tangled up with this Oncidium type set of leaves, simply because the plant would fall over because of the ridiculous angle that cane's at. And it's such a thick cane, there is no chance of actually getting that to go up right now. But lovely pristine white, lovely large blooms, and a beautiful colour in the lip. It's classed as deep yellow. I think it's actually orange. In its true nature, I think that is actually orange. And it fades a bit darker as the blooms age. So, and then last but not least, I'm going to have to take this off my hand and stretch my arm because my shoulder's hurting. Oh. It's holding the camera at a funny angle, but up here we have the Brassia, and quite honestly it looks like a couple of those buds are going to blast. I'm hoping at least 1 or 2 will open, but it's not a strong plant. The plant down here is pieces. It was several pieces put in a single pot to grow on, so it's not really flowering size. So the fact that it can't really support this spike fully is not surprising, but hopefully we will get at least 1 of those to open. That's Veracosa. As I say, you'll get the pop-ups. So there we go. There's not a lot to come. There's not a lot of buds and spikes pushing on at the moment. Summer season is not really a high blooming season for the types of orchids I've got. They're mostly late winter, early spring, or on into autumn. I mean, obviously there's we won't be looking at the Cymbidiums yet. Well, they're outside anyway, but yeah, I don't know whether I can show you. I'll just pop outside. Look at all the mess. I've cleared it out of the plants as best I could, but over the last couple of days the blackbirds have got up and virtually cleared out all the muck out of those gutters looking for food, and they've just thrown it all over my plants. It was all, it's like muddy leaves, you know. I mean, I had to sweep up round here. You can see all the stains where the leaves were. And couldn't step out without treading on them, and of course they get stuck to your shoes, then they get walked inside. It's a right nuisance. But yeah, it's the blackbirds. Hopefully they've virtually finished rooting around up there now. And several people have commented on the bright red. Well, it's geraniums or pelargoniums. They were bought last year for a bit of colour outside, but they've now grown into big plants. They came in for the winter, otherwise they would have died. And they've now grown into large plants. If they go outside now, the slightest gust of wind and they will blow over. So I'm just going to keep them inside. Again, they were bought as a splash of colour. They just as well be a splash of colour in here. And it also means I can keep my eye on watering them as well. Whereas if they were outside, I might forget. Because they've grown into larger plants now, the roots have probably filled those pots, so they would dry out very quickly. So yes, so that's it for this time round. Next time round, most of what we've looked at will be gone, and I doubt if much else will have taken its place. So that's just how it is at the moment. For now, anyway. I mean, I am going to an orchid show next Sunday. Tomorrow, it's our AGM. Boring, yawn. I must admit, Lynn gets that over as fast as she can. We do a block vote. Everybody who's currently on the committee is standing again. They've all been nominated, they've all been seconded, that's all been done. So all we've got to do is have a block vote. All those in favour of re-electing the whole committee and the chairman, or chairmen, chair people, because there's two of them, and blah, 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 blah. Put up your hands, any objections, and it's done. So it's just a few reports to read out. I've got to read mine out, Treasurer's report. And then after that is an auction. Something may take my fancy, so I may come home with some plants tomorrow. I did at the last one. I think I bought a Masdevallia and something else, I've forgotten now, but I did come home with some last time. So yeah, I may come home with some. And then we've obviously got the big show next Sunday, where I may see something I fancy, but that show opens to the public on Thursday. Hannah and I are going up on Sunday, and we won't be getting there early. We're not leaving at the crack of dawn or anything. Our main function is to pack our plants up and bring them home. Yeah, so we're packing up the display and bringing it home. So we have no need to get there early. And it's Hannah's birthday. It's her birthday treat. So we're not going to spend all our time in the orchid place. We want to have a look around the whole show, see some of the show gardens and some of the other floral displays and things. So I may not actually come home with any plants. You have to bear in mind a lot of the traders will have put their prices up because of the physical size of the audience they will get, so they're virtually guaranteed. And by the time we get to Sunday sort of lunchtime, afternoon when we get there, I doubt if there'll be much left. that's any good anyway. But I may come home with something. Wait and see. More likely to come home with something for the garden from a show like that. Anyway, that's it for this monthly edition, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.